Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and do the pledge. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Everybody's present on the council. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes. The regular meeting minutes of August 5th, 2021 were provided for review. I need a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 5th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Bernhardt?
Yes.
Mr. Seneca?
Yes.
Mr. Turnbull?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
A motion passed. Audience participation. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? I see no takers. Before we get to our very long agenda tonight, we have employee recognition. We'd like to recognize Jeff Vogt for the street service superintendent for 40 years of service to the city of Lansing and wish him well in his retirement. We'd also like to recognize and congratulate Kenny Payne, who is the city's newly promoted street superintendent. Public Works Director Mike Speckelmeyer will say a few words and will present a plaque to Jeff.
All right, I'd like to quickly read in special recognition to Jeff Folk, Street Superintendent for over 40 years of exemplary service to the city of Lansing, Kansas, for your leadership, dedication to the city, and your time here was instrumental as you contributed substantially to the success and growth of this community, and it's with great appreciation that we honor you in retirement and wish you the best in your future endeavors. Okay.
Kenny.
I thought they were all going to get out.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You want to say anything? It's an honor and a privilege to do this tonight for Jeff. 40 years is a remarkable accomplishment in any time, and I'll pick the microphone up. And the abilities and the skills that he's brought forth in the last 40 years is amazing. You got to realize in 1981, this city was less than half of the population it is now, a lot smaller, and there has been a lot of change, and most of that change has been great benefit, and that due to the work of the street department and in no small part Jeff Folk. So it is a great privilege and pleasure to work together. It's always such a benefit to anybody that when you talk about institutional knowledge, there is no better example of Jeff. Jeff knows where every pipe, every street, every problem, everything, and all the good stuff and everything else is in the city. And you will be tremendously missed. So,
Appreciate it. Thank everybody for everything they've done. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
sure. It is also an honor and a privilege to appoint Kenny Payne as the new street superintendent. Kenny has 26 years of experience with the city of Lansing, also a wealth of knowledge and experience, and we are really looking forward to working together. I've got the utmost confidence in Kenny. I lean on him heavily, and I offer him any advice or any help that I could possibly give him. Often I make things more complicated, but that's okay. Kenny will keep me straight. I know that for sure. So congratulations, Kenny, and welcome to the street superintendent position. If
I need to face him or face him, I'm not good at getting up front, so I'll try to make this brief. Like Mike said, I've been here a long time. So far, I've seen 5 mayors, 3 city administrators, and so far 5 public works directors, and I've had the privilege of working for just one superintendent the entire time. In my opinion, that's pretty remarkable. Jeff and I have been through a lot together. We've just about been there and done that. Under any circumstances, we've been side by side. We've been across from each other the whole time. Not a lot of superintendents will do that with you either. It's been hot, it's been cold, it's been wet, it's been windy, and it's been scary. And Jeff's been out there with me the entire time. Never once hesitated to show up, and he didn't go home till I went home. I appreciate that. I respect it. I've learned a lot from him. Nobody here is going to miss him more than I am. But I thank you for your patience. I thank you for everything I've learned from you. I'm not going to stand here and say that I'm happy to see you go, but I couldn't be happier for you. You've earned it. All right? I know I got a lot of big shoes to fill. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm going to be able to fill them completely. I welcome the challenge. I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity. And I appreciate your confidence in me. I look forward to what the future has.
And if there are those that were just here for that piece of the ceremony and you'd like to depart before we get to the rest of this 2-page agenda, you're free to do so. If you'd like to hang around, that's fine too.
Except you two guys.
Yeah, we didn't mean you, Jeff. No, just kidding. Okay, new business. Ordinance number 1068, Sunday beer alcohol sales. Kansas HB 2137 allows for Sunday sales of beer and alcohol to start at 09 a.m. instead of noon. This ordinance adopts those changes and amends the sections of the city code to align with the new changes. If approved, this change would take effect on October 31st, 2021. I need a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 1068.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Call the roll.
Mr. Nixon?
Yes.
Mr. Brungart?
Yes.
Mr. Tentica?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yeah.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Item number 4, approval of design Bernard Park. The park design team, along with representatives from Verio, will present a concept for Bernard Park Baseball and Softball Complex. Staff is looking for approval of the concept before the design team starts to work on the construction documents. At the conclusion of the presentation, we'll need a motion to approve the preferred concept. Okay, you're on, Jason.
You pretty much just summed up what I was going to say. The only
Okay.
thing that I'm going to add to that is I'm going to introduce Larry Reynolds, who's project manager, and he'll be introducing his folks as they go through this presentation, and I'll answer any questions that I can.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks. Mayor, Councilman, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight. We're excited to show you what we've been working on for Bernard Park plans. Bear with me here. We'll get our slides going. Here with me tonight on our team is MHS Engineering, Matt Henderson, Vance Revska with VSR Design, and Carrie Newman with SFS Architecture. Kind of want to start out, tell you what we've been doing since we started. We had a kickoff meeting at the end of May. We've had a number of discussions with Parks and Rec staff and team. We've conducted a capacity demand analysis using registration data from your programming folks. We completed a topographic survey of the project site. We've coordinated with utilities agencies. We developed 5 concepts that we presented to the steering committee on July 14th. They selected one that we've moved forward with and refined, and that's what we're here to show you tonight. We've also developed some preliminary conceptual level opinions of cost, where we're at. To connect to your master plan goals, we're keeping this in mind, and I just kind of want to bring this up, and that is to consolidate the sports activities to bring back neighborhood park uses. The improvements proposed for the Bernard Park in Phase 1 relocate the baseball and softball activities from City Park. This acts as a catalyst for the other parks to be redeveloped. Bernard Park was identified as being more suited for sports activities due to its size and not residing in a neighborhood setting. And this allows for more parking availability and convenience of having all sports in one location. For Phase 1, the Parks Master Plan and RFP stated a 5-field baseball, softball complex, native turf with about 100 parking stalls. Concessions and restroom and storage structure in the center of the complex. So, and then also in discussions that we've had to understand the needs of Parks and Rec staff, we understand that what is desired is a good quality recreational facility that meets the current demand with room to grow. That entails 2 125-foot outfield diamonds, one 225, one with a 270-foot outfield center field, and then a 300-foot outfield. And we'll show you those here in a minute. We started out with kind of a capacity demand analysis of what you're able to, what your capacity is now compared to what the demand is and what we can provide for you with room to grow in the future. What we found with 5 fields is that currently your leagues play from June 1st to July 1st, Monday through Friday from 6 to 10. That is a max capacity with your current staffing levels to support a demand of 55 home games per week. For 2021, based on current registration data, you have a demand of 32 home games. So with the same number of fields that you have and that we would put in to start with in Phase 1 in Bernard Park, 5 fields, and then adding additional staffing and a expanded weekend schedule, your max capacity would be would support a demand of 155 games per week. So we're going to get into the design concepts, and I'm going to ask Vance to come up and go through those with you.
Thanks, Larry. Okay, so as Larry has said, hit the arrow button.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We went through. We talked to the committee, and we had 5 different schemes. To be honest with you, we probably had 20 different schemes before we even came to that committee. But what we did is kind of ran through all those and really kind of narrowed things down to two primary schemes that we think meet all of the goals of today and the future. So this one we're calling Concept A. On the left, which one's the little pointer? Okay, I don't want to turn it off. So right here is the existing drive that would come in from the south. And the existing kind of a gravel cul-de-sac that you have right now is in this location. And so off to the east, we are showing some paved spaces in this location, and then one central spine that runs through the center. And then we've got the 2 smaller 125-foot fields that are primarily coach pitch, t-ball, that sort of thing. A 225-foot field here, and then a 230 with 270 to center, 230 there, and that's kind of primarily a baseball field. So it's got some different dimensions for foul lines versus center field. And then based on use and demand and some other things, we felt like the different coloring here shows that we would build the 300-foot field that gets a lot of the youth baseball, but will also accommodate adult softball. So this arrangement was pretty convenient. The concession stand and restroom would be right in the middle. You can also see a trail around the perimeter, a nice tight trail with potential connections. As we get into the master plan part of it, we interact with the master plan and connect in different directions. And then we would have a second 300-foot field here in the future as well as another 225-foot field right here in the center. The initial phase would grade the whole site for all of those fields, but we would primarily focus on building these 5 to start with, and the concession restroom. You see these little gray dashes are dugouts. The white indicates paving. This is future expansion of parking in that direction as well as this direction. One of the things that we find is parking is really expensive when you do asphalt and do curbs and storm sewers and everything else. And so we focused really from a budgetary standpoint on getting the main parking lot there at the center, and having the ability to either park on gravel or park on grass for overflow if we exceed the demand in any certain night. But we've got quite a bit of room. As you can see, we've got the 222 up there, plus the 63 down here. So you're talking about 400 or 500 parking stalls in total, which would meet our future demand. So scheme B, or concept B, is sort of a minor variation. As you can, sorry, I went the wrong way. In this scheme, we end up, as you can kind of tell, that we've got a long walking distance to that third field, or the fifth field, the 300-foot field. And so it's kind of a long distance there. In the meantime, this would just be a grass lawn area. I guess I should also mention the reason that we put these 2 small fields here are those are the littlest kids, hardest to walk, put them closest to the parking lot. The other fields in this configuration, and even the clustering of those 2 fields, really get everybody very, very close on those inner core fields to that concession and that restroom. So you make it very convenient to use the restrooms, and very convenient, we hope, to use the concession piece where you buy a lot of your any kind of drinks and snacks in this location. So the other thought was if we look at trying to just really focus on what we're going to do today, that maybe we bring that 300-foot field in, and so we've really just swapped those 2 so that in the interim, in our first phase, then all 5 fields are close to that concession and restroom building. And then these 2 fields are in the future. They aren't quite as strong a pair as the 2 300-foot fields by themselves, but there's really no telling, when that future day comes. And so that's sort of the reasoning for changing those 2 around. Although I will say that, as you know, if you have flat green space, you'll be able to program it for something, soccer or whatever. The kids will be able to use it for some use. We are currently looking at the fields to be natural turf, natural grass in the outfields, natural materials on the infield. There has been a little bit of discussion about artificial turf, and we can kind of go into that if you want to. I think I've told you before, I can talk for hours about all this stuff, and so I'm on a short leash. If I start to shake, it's because Larry's clicking the buzzer. So we'll look at those as cost items throughout the whole process, or as we move forward, and we can bid some things as alternates and do those sorts of things and see where we can stand on that. With that, we'll probably turn it over. Well, let me see. Do you have any questions about the overall fields, the layout?
Where's all the rock and stuff? There's a bunch of that was stored when they were initially done. Is that back of that, Jason? I keep losing.
Well, is that up in here, or is it back here?
There is some over there on the other side of the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
That came from that hillside.
Right.
But most of the dirt and rubble that came over from the other side is over in that area.
Yeah, so there's a large berm right here.
What do we do about that when we get ready to? I through all of these plans that we've talked about, I've never heard anybody say about getting rid of the rubble. What's the plan on that? everything is supposed to be, it's on the inside of that bridge. And I was told that we couldn't, they didn't want to take dump trucks over that bridge, hauling that rock out of there. So what are they going to put culverts and stuff in to get that gravel out of there? Or?
I'm not sure we know exactly all of what's in there just yet ourselves, so.
Yeah, we've avoided really working up in this area just to avoid some of the rock. What we understand that a lot of this was a lot of the soil was pushed over here. We're going to push some of that back to build that. This is kind of a big gully down in here at Field 7. And so we're going to push some of that. If we've got any, if it's very large, we can bury it pretty deep because as you can tell, and Matt can tell us a little more. But
I know they put it up on that hillside because of they needed a place to lose it at that time.
Right.
I just wondered if it has to be, but I had never heard about it being a problem.
Yeah,
then.
honestly, we're going to try to move it back into the lower fills, into our deeper fills, and build up on top of it so that we create this very large, relatively flat plateau for all of those fields now and in the future.
But just to clarify that, Dave, we're talking about the stuff to the east,
Yeah.
not the big rock pile to the west of the cul-de-sac.
Well, I'm talking
Yeah, no,
with a
this
big
stuff-
rock. What?
That we're not in that area.
That's on the other side, isn't it?
Yeah,
Up
it's
It's on the
hill.
other side of that cul-de-sac.
So then that's what, second, third phase? Or, we don't know. That's down the road. Okay. I just say, out of all the talk we talked about, we never heard what they decided we were going to do with the rock over there.
You talked about astroturf versus grass. What do cities typically go with in the past couple of years?
Well, it really is a function of, it's a cost function. So the artificial turfs, you've seen them up in Parkville at their facilities. Liberty's got them. It's a pretty expensive venture. Most people will not do that unless they're going to try to really push tournaments through. And so it's, and the other part that you have to remember is that you've got to replace that turf in 8 to 10 years. And so you may spend, for instance, on this 300-foot field, you may spend $400,000 to $500,000 more per field to get artificial turf, and in 8 years you're going to have to spend another $250,000 or $300,000 to replace that turf. So what we've talked about and with our committee is that one way to look at that is that, yeah, you're going to reduce the amount of maintenance, especially if you do the whole field. You won't have to mow, you won't have to water, you won't have to stripe the fields for every game. You'll still have to take care of divots and infields. You still have to drag that sand and that rubber in those low spots, and you have to keep that fiber vertical. Making sure I don't get shocked here. But so you keep that fiber vertical, and so that it'll last 8 years. And you replace the part, the batter's boxes and the pitching rubbers and the pitching mounds and around first base, the real high wear areas. You replace those throughout your lifetime. But I always tell everyone that $200,000 you need to figure that if you're going to save $10,000 a year in maintenance, you're going to basically be spending about $25 or $30 a year in just trying to accrue the money to replace that turf.
If you're not making money on tournaments, it's not worth it.
No.
Right.
No, and it's, I know that when you go to Creekside or you go to 3 and 2 or you go to some of those, you think that they are just printing money there. I mean, honestly, the real money comes from if you can bring in outside tournaments and you get your hotels and your restaurants and those, that's where the community is really going to make a lot of money. The gate fees and everything for these kinds of facilities, they just, by the time you hire all the umpires that you'd have to hire over a weekend for those tournaments, you're not going to make, you can make money, don't get me wrong, but you're not, it's not silly money. It's not, as they say, it's not stupid money. You're just printing it and rolling it off. It's hard to make. And you typically have to affiliate yourself with some of those tournament organizations.
You also have to compete to.
Right. Yeah. And so, And so that's what you would have to do. I mean, that's why they're going. There's sort of like an arms race right now. Creekside built theirs with artificial turf infields. Liberty built all theirs. I think they were half infields, half full fields. Johnson County is doing all infields and outfields now. And quite honestly, it's just an arms race. They're trying to figure out how to do it and how to grab those tournaments.
But it's not as expensive if you do infield only.
No, it's not.
It's not, and it doesn't cost $30,000 a year when you do infield only,
No, but it would end up being a $10,000 or a $15,000,
which is a lot cheaper than maintenance
Right.
crews hired on. And
But you can
and doing
provide, they're
dirt.
going to provide options, right? I mean, if we're
Yes.
interested, you can
Yeah.
say, hey, if you did infield, it's going to cost this. If you did-
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I, mean,
It's,
I have a question on the design though. What we were talking about tonight.
okay.
I like the way you've got it designed there. I mean, I agree with you until we have a demand. Let's
Right.
say, right?
Right.
We have demand. But can we take that larger field 6 and look at field 5 and look at field 6 and at least make it to where it's high school compatible?
Yeah, so it's
I don't know field 5 girls softball. I don't know what their softball, but I know boys high school baseball is 320.
yeah,
So if we
so,
went 320, we're only talking 20 extra feet.
well, and I think if you look up the rules, 300 is actually permissible for the NFHS guidelines, but you'll want to have the center field at 350. So you see how this center field bumps out much more. That's what we would probably have to do here. So I would encourage you we may bump those out to 310, but get you 360, 370 to center field. And you can do it without too much trouble. You'd have to maybe potentially push field 4 in the future.
But it's possible.
Out a little bit. Oh, it's absolutely possible, yeah.
I mean, we can do the base passes for the middle school ages like you're talking about for field 6. But if we wanted to do baseball, the cutout and everything would be designed. We just move the base passes another 10 feet. Instead
Right.
of 50 feet, be 60 feet.
Right.
Or 90 feet, I should say.
Right. Yeah, and so that is an advantage when you have artificial turf infields, is that you can put base pegs at whatever distance you want. What we don't really show on these plans is the ability to, doggone it, do it again. A lot of the fields will build, a lot of the high schools will build an artificial turf infield for baseball, and then, I mean, primarily in Missouri because they play fall and opposite seasons for baseball and softball, so they can do it. But you can put a temporary fence out here so that the girls can play on that same field as well. We don't really show that here, but that's always the possibility. And this 225 field is a little bit larger than what your softball high school has to play, or even through the Olympics. But this will accommodate up to the 11, 12-year-old boys. And so it's, to me, what I always say is that this size field really covers, your pyramid of use. You got a lot of kids, especially at the little kid age, right down here. And that's when you bring in the most parents and the most grandparents. That everybody's playing then. As you get older, the kids sort of filter out. And so by the time you get to high school, you probably don't have a demand for more than 1 or 2 fields of that high school size.
Another question I got for you. So that gap there between like field 5 that you see there, we could put pitching tunnels and hitting tunnels.
Oh,
or
right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do something like that with that space, couldn't we?
Yeah, there is room for batting tunnels, and you can see out here there's room for
Little kids, yeah.
Yeah, well, and I mean the batting tunnels are, you think about it, the batting tunnels are probably 1.5 of those little gray dugouts. Okay, that's about how long they are, and so you can fit a whole bunch of those out there. You can fit them inside the facility if you want to kind of keep everything controlled. There's a whole number of options that will leave you. And again, like I was saying, what we're trying to do is really grade this off to one big flat plateau, and you can build whatever you want on it, as we move forward into the future. There are lots of options there.
So does one surface have an advantage over the other? Should there be, let's say a storm in the morning and the games are scheduled in the afternoon. Does the natural dry better than the artificial, or?
Well, no, the artificial will drain really fast. I mean, in baseball and softball, the ball becomes slick when it gets wet, and so you really can't play during the rain event. But immediately afterwards, you're just going to have a wet surface like it's wet grass. The disadvantage with a skinned infield is that it's dirt, and so if it gets much rain, it gets mud on it. The Major League Baseball has, they've got 20 guys to take care of one field, so they can roll a turf on and take it off, or a tarp on and take it off. You don't have that luxury. You've got more like one guy to take care of 5, 6 fields. So there's no way that you can get that to work. There are varying degrees of this of the infield material as well that take. Some are better in drier conditions. Some are better in wet conditions. Invariably, whatever you buy that first season is not what it's built for. Right. That's been my experience. You buy a wet season turf, we're going to have a drought, or a wet season infield. You buy something that's great for a drought, and we're going to have rain all summer. So that's just Murphy's Law. But and there's something about maintenance. You've all seen the kitty litter and the diamond dry and all that, and that sort of is a Band-Aid to get you through and to get you to play. And so there's the varying degrees. There's the limestone screenings that we've all seen and probably played on and have scars on our legs from. But that's $15 a ton, and if you want to do what Kauffman Stadium has, you're looking at $250 a ton. And so, that infield is, 400 or 500 tons of that material. So now, obviously, it's less at the lower level, at the smaller fields, and they probably, not that we don't want to take care of the little kids, but they probably don't need a major league infield. Some would say that T-ball, they don't even need a fence, but, I think we would put one out there. And the other thing that's really nice about building fields like this is that they are they're sized for their age. We've all been to those fields. I did the fields in Gardner, and they're all 300-foot fields. And they play the T-ball, and the outfielders are right here. They never even touch the grass. It just, they still get to play. You don't get more games or less games, but it's just a feeling of that baseball or that softball game is just a lot better when it's right-sized for the age.
Any other questions?
I can go all night, so keep asking. I think
You
everybody
can't.
else might want to go home at some point. Uh-oh, I broke it. So it was arrows. Okay. No? It's on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on.
It says it's green.
Good evening, Matt Henderson with MHS. So briefly, just to talk about utilities to service the site. With each concept, it's going to be a very similar concept. And I don't know how to, there we go. So whether concept A or concept B, I'm going to kind of flip forward to an aerial photograph here, I think. Okay, so kind of to orientate you, very similar. This is showing the, in here where the fields are, our site. And so really the perimeter from a power perspective, there's only phase one along the perimeter. So we've been talking with Evergy. And to bring three-phase power to the site, we're going to have to upgrade the lines that are about 3/4 miles away, which is represented by this darker red line. And then we're going to bring into the park overhead power to the other side of the bridge. And from that point in, it'll be underground. And there'll be a series of transformers, pads that can be within the site that can be future expanded to the other future phases of what you have. And so what's going to happen is we're going to bring basically public power. Evergy will maintain the power lines up to 135 feet of any point of service. So it may be difficult to see, and I just hit the wrong button. I have advanced problems. Here we go. And so it's hard to see on this, but it's a little bit different color. But this is like a dashed line that will come in with the transformer service, apparently 3-phase power underground, and then at some point we'll have a meter that'll service the building on site. From the water perspective, Landell many years ago, I'm telling you, this is a little sensitive. I gotta quit using the pointer. The blue line represents the water. And so Landell obviously extended, when the original park construction, a water line at that point. We're going to extend 6-inch public water line up to the outfield, where we'll set 2 meters, and that will be maintained by Landell, and then we'll bring in a water service to service the concession building. And this leaves you more openness in the future from an expansion standpoint if you want to bring additional water services in. And then lastly, the green line is a sanitary. It'll be a septic system, whether it's an engineered or a traditional lateral system, and we're, depending on what concept you pick, we'll make sure we place that in a very nondescript way so that it doesn't interfere with play. If there's another question, we'll move on to the architecture, which may be a little more exciting.
We just want power and water. Good to go.
Good evening, Kerry Newman with SFS Architecture. So as far as the support structure goes, as we've talked about earlier, we're locating that right in the center of the facility to best serve the needs of all those different fields. You could
Slide.
go. Can you move to the next slide?
Next slide.
Yeah, forward. One more. There you go. So let me just walk through the floor plan. We did present several different options to the steering committee, and why don't you go back to the floor plan, if you could.
Well, now it doesn't work. It's not cooperating. Go ahead and go to the next one. I'll give you that so you have the laser at least.
Yeah.
So you can use the laser.
All right. So obviously we're trying to meet the concession needs, restroom, and some storage needs for the fields. We're showing the concessions faces the west. So it's really the greeting point when you come into the facility. You're seeing the concessions. We've got two service windows here, and then plenty of space for concessions. We have a storage space here as well. We've also located a fairly large storage area for gators and infield materials and all the different materials that they need. It's very conveniently located to all the different fields. And then we have the restrooms. We have a men's restroom, women's restroom, and we have 2 family restrooms. We also have a fairly good-sized chase that serves all the toilet facilities, the toilet fixtures. And this is a really great way to be able to access those facilities, those piping, without having to tear into any walls if there's repairs that need to be made, or at the end of the season being able to drain down the plumbing fixtures, be able to get right into that plumbing chase. This is also where we can locate water heaters and some storage as well in here. And then we're also showing an umpire's space. So we have some storage space for umpires to store their clothes and to dress. It's a fairly small space, but convenient for umpires to use. I would mention that the plumbing fixture count is sized for the first phase, but we've also allowed space, as you can see here, for additional plumbing fixtures to be added in the future for those future fields as they're added. So it's going to be an economical way to meet those needs in the future. We also have looked at some different ways of shading kind of an eating area. And if we can go back. Sorry. Yeah. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. We can pretty much extend the the existing roof out over an eating area. These are the two concession windows here and here. So we can extend that roof out. This is a really low maintenance because it's built that way, and or we can use a little bit more economical but more of a shade structure. Maybe it's a pre-manufactured shade structure that's located here to create some shade and some sheltered area for the eating area. To really get the best maintenance out of these, they really need to be removed during the winter time and stored. So there's some maintenance with that, and they have to be replaced a little bit more often. So we're looking at overhead doors, or even it could be a sliding door that could slide over and open up for the maintenance facility, for the maintenance and storage areas. We're looking at, this is a very preliminary view. We haven't looked at patterns of the masonry or colors at this point. Really just wanted to show the massing of the building and how big it is and kind of the shape of the roof. So the next phase would really be looking more at colors and signage and materials on the exterior of the building. So we haven't really gotten to that yet. It wouldn't be this simple and plain. And then we did look at, if you go to the next slide, actually go one more slide. There you go. So we then did look at another option that really kind of pulls the concessions space away from the restrooms and maintenance facility. And one advantage to this is it kind of pulls that maintenance kind of away from the people areas, I guess I'd say, and then creates more of a central seating area between the two structures. Really, other than that, it has really the same space and the same spaces, the same restrooms and storage areas and concession space. It just kind of pulls those two spaces away from each other. Now, if you could kind of go back one slide. There you go.
That gives you a structure on two sides of you, too. So if you
Exactly.
get rain and wind blowing, you might
Right, a
have
little bit more,
protection.
a little bit more shelter. And so that really could create this central seating area. The roof could extend over, or it could be more of a fabric structure that fits over that eating area. But I think that really the big difference is creating that central seating area and kind of pulling the maintenance and storage area away from the people areas. Similar to the previous option, we haven't really gotten into colors and patterns and signage and all those things that will really make this much more exciting and vibrant. But that would be the next phase. We really wanted to get your feedback at this stage and see if you have thoughts on the layout and which of these two options might be preferable.
Can you go back to the floor plan of this one, please?
Yeah.
The other one.
No, the other one.
That one, yeah. I have a question. On this, let me ask my question. On this floor plan right here, you said you could extend the roof clear over the top of the seating area.
Uh-huh.
Would it be possible to do garage doors on both sides to where you could just open those up for the events, and then when the event's over, just close the garage doors to protect the seating area?
Absolutely.
If you have a storm, you could also close those to protect your people?
Absolutely. Obviously there's a cost associated with that, but certainly this could be, have some partial walls that could have some overhead doors incorporated to allow that to be open and closed.
I just think about modern restaurants nowadays. They have the all glass drawers to slide down when it's nice out. They open them up.
Sure. Right. Absolutely. That's a definite possibility. That would be a fairly easy bid alternate too, just depending on the budget and how we're coming in on costs. So that could be something that could be added and bid separately so that you know what the cost is and you have that choice at bid time whether to add that or not. So yeah, it's a good idea though.
Oh, I saw what I needed to see, so
Okay.
thank you. Just needed some clarification.
So where's the umpires changing area in this? Is
It's
that right?
right here.
There? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on architecture?
Any other questions?
Yeah, that one, it just looks like you got, I like the idea of having all that storage stuff out of the way on one
Yeah.
end. Because you can never have enough storage, and that's gonna fill up with water hoses and rakes and
Right.
shovels and just a bunch of maintenance stuff.
And if you needed to add on, you could do it on this,
Yeah,
on the
you can
end.
add on, yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Jason, I guess I'll ask you from a maintenance perspective, which one, do you have a preference, or?
Well, I think there's probably some benefits to all of them. I like, obviously, we talked about this a little bit today after our meeting, and kind of liked how it has that, it almost kind of has like that shelter-like feeling to it, to where you could, if you were just going to go out with your family and play ball some afternoon, you'd also have a place that's almost like a shelter house that you could use for your lunch or your picnic or whatever you were doing. I hadn't really, that was kind of the first I heard about the shade cloths coming off, so I don't really have a really good feel for how much maintenance that's going to take, what kind of equipment and so forth. So I guess in that aspect, I would lean towards the more durable type roof if I had a choice on that. But I like both concepts. I do agree with you that I like the maintenance, kind of being on that end of the building. But I don't know if in any of the concepts could the maintenance, is this the only concept where the maintenance could be shifted to that end?
I think we could work the first option to kind of flip that storage area away.
Not trying to confuse it. I just was curious. So
Yeah, that's something to look at.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, yeah, I was just thinking from a maintenance perspective, if there was any considerations on your part.
But even that first example, where you had the hard roof that extended out, you kind of still get that same
Coverage.
shelter type feeling, I guess, is what I would say with that. I just don't know if that kind of impedes the coming up to the concession windows. I'm not certain how that'll look. But.
Okay, so you showed quite a few different options, like 3 different options on fields, a couple different options on floor plans, and then I'm reading that we want to make a motion to approve the preferred concept. So, what pieces are we putting together to say is the concept?
I would say that the layout, whether it's A or B, they're essentially the same, and we can move the fields to your accommodations easily.
So
Essentially
field-
one price. So are we headed in the right direction with the plan that we have? And do you have a preference for, I hear that we lean towards maybe concept B. It seems to make some sense.
Well, can we flash to what the field concepts were real quick? Okay, that's B. So concept B, that's
I'm a B
concept
guy.
A. Okay, so most seem to be in favor of concept B. Okay, and then as far as the architecture for the,
Go to, yeah, that's it. I'm sorry, yeah.
I think we're all good with the utilities. So just, yeah.
It's a great briefing.
Now with concept B, go to concept B again. With concept B, you're still going to clear all that other area off, right?
Right, so we would grade out.
Concept B, there we go.
Yeah, to
You're
the
going to
east.
clear that where you're showing field 4 and 7 because you got that nice walking trail around. It's
Right.
going to at least be cleared off or something.
We'd want to grade
It'll be
it
graded.
out as part of this first phase so that it's ready to go.
In the committee meetings was to just go ahead and get it all leveled off
Right.
now, so that down the road we don't have to do that.
Yeah,
Correct.
and I like the idea of different kind of events could take place out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we go to the structure
Architecture.
designs real quick so we know? Okay, that was option 1.
Option 1, the front porch.
Option 1.
Option 2 was the one that was split.
Breezeway.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So-
kind of agree with Jesse. I think I like the option 2, but I would like to see if we could have that
The roof.
permanent roof
Permanent roof.
in between there, because I think that then if we needed to and wanted to put doors in, either while it's being built or possibly at a later date, I think that allows us that option.
Great.
So I like
Yeah.
option 2.
Now, with this option 2, don't forget, we could, based on growth, based on whatever, we could add from outside the windows. We could always go with additional
Either
cloth,
direction.
drape
Right.
or roof too.
Yeah.
See, I mean, that's the benefit of this second option.
Yeah.
You're allowing for dining in the middle. If we grow and we have a lot, we can grow out from the windows as well,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Point. I like 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like you got option B and option 2 for the architecture.
320 on the field.
Is that kind of
320 on the field.
Is that enough guidance? We don't
B or not-
need to
B or
make
not
any
to B.
motions or anything like that, do we?
It'd be nice to have a motion, if there was a motion for concept B and
Okay,
option
so
2.
I need a motion to, I guess, approve concept B and option 2.
So moved.
To move forward.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mr. Stednica?
Yes.
Mr. Trimble?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Beeler?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate
you.
the briefing. Jason,
Just
you have anything else?
thank you all. Thank Virio and the design team, and also thank you very much to everybody that's been participating on the steering committee. So,
All right, you're
Thank you.
welcome, Jason. Okay, item number 5 is request to purchase slip liner for South Fork pipe rehabilitation. The large metal pipe beneath South Fork Drive between Willow and Canyon View has deteriorated and is in need of repair. A temporary concrete bottom was placed and has stabilized the pipe for now. A plastic pipe slip liner is a common solution to high-traffic roadways and adequate access for construction and has a design lifespan of 50 years. This product is available under the state purchasing contract utilized by KDOT, which allows municipalities to purchase at the negotiated prices. I need a motion to approve the purchase of the plastic pipe slip liner under the Kansas purchasing contract in the amount of $50,012.20 plus shipping costs.
So
So
moved.
moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can you,
Question, when that was built, what was its expected lifetime?
Well, it was built out of a corrugated metal pipe, and I'm not sure exactly when the Willow subdivision went in and South Fork and all that. I know my house was built in 2000, so I'm sure it was before that, maybe even late 90s. We use different material now. They use an aluminized pipe versus a strictly galvanized pipe, but a lot of the galvanized pipes, and we'll be talking about one later on Valley, the yard chemicals and all the stuff that goes through those pipes really have deteriorated them very rapidly. Yeah, you would kind of like to see a 50-year solution out of a metal pipe, but we just aren't getting it. We're getting more like 30 years out of it.
Is there any other option other than the pipe? I mean, could we make a concrete tunnel or something like that, or?
Well, we actually forecast a concrete replacement for this pipe at $300,000. It was identified in our capital improvement plan, and it would require the road be closed for a month or two while we closed it, and we would install a concrete box culvert, essentially. And that is, I would say, the Cadillac solution. It does require the road be closed, and it is $300,000. What I'm estimating on this one is we would purchase this slip liner, and we have room to put it in, and we've got a lot of experienced contractors that can put it in, and it would just slide it in, grout around it, and then the road would remain open, and no one would really even know that was there. I mean, other than people that would go down there. But if we wanted to if we wanted to program the project and engineer the project, we could do so, put in concrete, and I would say, usually when you build a bridge, you design a bridge for a 100-year lifespan, and the concrete would be a 100-year lifespan.
With the slip liner, what's the expected lifespan of that?
50 years is what they're seeing. There's a lot of those that get placed. Slip liners aren't good for every installation, but because you've got open ends on both of this, we can actually get down there, build a mobilization site to where they would bring it in 20 to 30 foot lengths and push it in, and they plastic weld it together, push another length in, plastic weld it, and so forth. So.
Okay.
I think it's the most cost-effective and the least disruptive solution.
And 50 years.
And 50 years.
Hopefully.
So it's kind of like pipe bursting without bursting the pipe then. It'll just be inside.
It's very similar. The reason you can actually do it is because the hydraulic characteristics of the plastic is so much better than the corrugated metal that you can pass the same amount of water through. Kenny won't be here when this is done either. Jeff could have put this in 40 years ago and it'd still be good. Sorry.
Anybody else have any discussion? Any questions for Mike? No?
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Barnhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stendeka?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 6 is approval of engineering services 4H and Valley Drive storm sewer repair. Staff solicited engineering services to design the repairs and replacement on Valley Drive north of 4H Road. The plan is for interim repairs to be completed this fall, which will allow for the pipes to be designed and bid in the spring for summer 22 construction. There are funds available in Fund 22 Special Highway. I need a motion to accept Task Order 6 from SMH Consultants in the amount of $36,115 for the design of the Valley Drive storm sewer replacement project.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
What, well, I'll go ahead. I have a question on something that's similar to this, but not on this one.
Is it for Mike?
Huh?
Is it for Mike?
It's not on this.
It's not on this one.
Okay.
It has to do with the pipe or, no, just go ahead. Go ahead. I don't know.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. No discussion. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Barnhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stendeka?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Thanks, Mike. Item number 7 is property sale contract 301 Center Drive. Bredell Holdings LCC is ready to purchase the ground for Lot 2, Lansing Town Center, second plat for $75,000. The buyer is agreeing to begin construction by December 31st, 2021, with a completion date of no later than December 31st, 2022. I need a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the land real estate sale contract of Lot 2, Lansing Town Center, second plat.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I know Dr. Riddell is with us tonight in case anyone has any questions, but I know we're really excited about this.
No discussion. Call the roll.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Barnhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stendeka?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 8, executive session acquisition of real property. I need a motion to recess into executive session for the preliminary discussion of acquisition of real property pursuant to KSA 75-4319B6 for 10 minutes, beginning at 7:58 and ending at 8:08.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Barnhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stendeka?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Second.
Motion and second. Call the roll.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Barnhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stendeka?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Item number 9 is property acquisition, K7 and Eisenhower project. Appraisals for this project have been completed, and once accepted by the council, the agent will present the offers to the property owners. The opinion of just compensation for the properties has been determined by the Simmons Group. Need a motion to accept the appraised value of $162,820 for the real property acquisition on K7 and Eisenhower project, and authorize staff to continue negotiations.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Barnhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stendeka?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Wheeler?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 10 is another executive session on economic development. I need a motion to recess into executive session to review economic development activities pursuant to the discussions of confidential data relating to financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorships, exception KSA 75-43119, Bravo 4, for 15 minutes, beginning at 8:10 and ending at 8:25.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Wait till Penny sits down.
Yes, because nobody was there.
Okay, I need a motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Second.
Keep me out, Don. Got a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Report, city attorney.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Tim.
Mayor McNeil and I met with County Commissioner Culbertson earlier this week. We spoke about the bridge project for 152. And just talking about that project got me really excited in thinking about how close Lansing could be to the Kansas City Metro, closer to KCI, closer to Zona Rosa. I just think that project would be a game changer for the Lansing area. So I was really excited about that. I thought that was a really positive discussion. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks. Anything from the department heads? Now we'll go around the horn. Ron, you're up first.
Yes, even though they have departed, I'd like to thank the representatives from Vireo for their presentation this evening. I'd also like to congratulate Jeff Frock on his retirement and Kenny on his new assignment. And I just want to wish both gentlemen the very best in the future.
All right, thanks, Ron. Carrie?
Congratulations to Jeff, and I have nothing else, man.
All right, thanks, Carrie. Donna?
Same thing. Congratulations to Jeff, and I don't have anything else, man.
All right, thanks. Dave?
Kudos out to Jeff, and hope Kenny hangs in there. We'll be seeing him in 40 years. That they were both of them are real. They've been there ever since I've been on the council, and both of them are real fine guys to work under. And I mean, they not always said that there was always something they needed. You could call them. You could call them and get a hold of them if you needed it. They always they never did not turn down council members' comments. Put it that way. If a council member needed a question answered, Kenny or one of them was there to just like our fine city administrator is. But the one question that I wanted to ask you, Matt, when we was back on that, I don't know, I didn't know if it was proper to ask it or not. Remember when we was discussing the perimeter street fees over here off of
For Ryan Family Farms?
yeah, when they was putting the three in, the three houses, and the discussion came in.
New Lawrence Road?
Huh?
New
Oh,
Lawrence.
is it? No, that was Mount Calvary.
Mount Calvary.
Calvary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Calvary. I didn't know whether I could say the street. I just over here. But I mean, is that something that where are we at with that? Is that something that we're going to if we went a little further with that? Remember we talked about not even getting rid of the perimeter street fees. What are we going to do yet?
So that was the first meeting in August. Yeah. We had the ordinance on the agenda that we got rid of the perimeter street fees altogether.
Okay.
So, and we've updated the UDO and already codified that and everything. So it's all done. We still have the requirement that they give us half the right of way that we would require, so we can at least get the right of way established. But we would not require them to build the road itself.
Okay. Now is that falling under just their building project, or is that going to?
That's for the entire city.
Entire city.
Entire city.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I was asked that to ask that question in open session.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah, we don't. The way the wording is now, we would not collect perimeter street fees in any situation.
I believe that was prior. That was prior to, and I believe we waived those.
For that particular project, they were waived. Yes.
Because it was.
And the ordinance came after that.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure we're not.
So it's going to be quite a savings then for the Ryan property.
It
Yeah.
equates to 1.7 million roughly savings for whoever develops the Ryan property.
Yeah, that one was pretty excessive because it was arterial on 3 sides.
On 3 sides, right.
I know one of the things that our new policy talks about is, I forget the language, but we would encourage special assessments for major road projects and things like that. And we've talked about that before. So, if you buy a $400,000 home, you would have a $50 special assessment per month for 20 years. So that's probably how we would pay for roadway projects in the future.
Be done via benefit district, which equates to that. Yeah.
Yeah, benefit district. Yeah.
And if you think about it, the Whataburger, I think Mahomes is going to add on. Talking about 30 more restaurants. Is there something that Lansing can send them?
Let's talk offline.
Let's
talk offline.
Okay. I mean, get them a card or hey, come visit us. But there's people asking me, so that's why I was asking.
Sure.
I'll give him a call right after this, Dave.
Yeah, give Mahomes a call, will you?
Gene, you got anything?
Mike, I believe KDOT has kind of put the squash on anything down there on Gilman Road. Is that?
Yes. We reached out to Gilman Road after the meeting, and the Kansas Department of Transportation said the centerline median markings would not work because the median is not wide enough. That's kind of what they.
Okay, so if you're on Gilman Road, there's nothing we can, warning signs, arrows, nothing like that on Gilman Road.
On Gilman, I mean, we can do things on Gilman. Sure, we could.
Like
look
no
at something.
stacking in the intersection, or something like that, or
Anything we do is going to have to be in compliance with the MUTCD. So,
Okay. Well, there's still people doing the Gilman Road thing, and I said, KDOT's told us we can't do anything on KDOT, and then the next question is, can't we do anything on Gilman? So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, other than maybe an additional sign, there's we can look into it.
What about the flashing yellow light during the heavy traffic times? Nothing.
No.
Huh? We can't do anything on 7?
7 is not our road.
Got it. I was just looking at.
other options, right?
Yeah, I was just looking at the other option we talked about.
Well, we talked about painting lines there, and they said you can't do it, right?
Same answer, same 20 years, same answer.
and thanks, Mike. And want to offer my condolences to the 5 families of Leavenworth County who lost family members, loved ones to COVID last week. It's a bad deal. Thank you.
Thanks, you. Marcus.
Yeah, just to pile on, congratulations to Jeff. 40 years has come and gone, so enjoy the next 40 years, Jeff. And congratulations to Kenny for our new superintendent. Thanks for all the park representatives. Appreciate the city administrator and team working to get this park moving forward. And once again, thanks, Tim, for talking to Jeff Culberson and them commissioners. I really want to try to get that bridge, as they briefed us, off the shelf. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they briefed it. We're going to put it on the shelf for a while, get it off the shelf. Let's hurry up and get this bridge going so we can start getting connections to those cities. So, other than that, thanks for our first responders. Thanks, Chief. Thanks for being here. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Marcus. So one thing that the councils can do is get a hold of the state representatives and say you're in favor of it, which is what Jeff passed to us. So, I mean, if you got the time, go ahead and give them a ring and shoot them an email. Tell them you're in favor of that. All right, thanks. Jesse?
Yeah, ditto to everything. Congratulations, Jeff. 40 years is a well-deserved retirement, that's for sure. I think about the street employees in this town and all the employees. When the snow flies, they get in those trucks and they drive all night. It's not a glamorous job by any means. They work hard. So I appreciate all the employees that we have. Congratulations to Kenny on his new appointment. That's awesome. I've known Kenny since we were little kids. We go to the same church. So I know him. He's a good guy. And you couldn't have picked a better man for that job. So that's awesome. So that's all I've got.
All right, thanks, Jesse. Greg?
I'm going to pile on again. Jeff, congratulations. 40 years is a long time, and you've done a lot of great things for the city and helping turn the city into what it is today. Kenny, good luck. You do have big boots to fill, like you said. Thank you to the Rio team. I'm really excited about getting this park up and running, just like everybody else is. And on this day, in 1909, the very first automobile race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was held at the Indianapolis 250. And with that, Mayor, sorry. Look, I got Marcus, Major, and Mayor. I just combined them.
Got the voted too.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Call the roll.
Mr. Dixon?
Yeah.
Mr. Brugger?
Yes.
Mr. Stetnica?
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle?
Yeah.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Bueller?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
You remember